And a very happy Wednesday to you at 2:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wings in Culver City.
John, I had to edit out two people saying the B and the S word in the last hour. So to keep with that theme, here's Katie Porter's latest ad for governor.
I don't want you to think about this process as picking a candidate. I want you to think about it as picking a partner. So if people are not spending time listening to you now, they sure aren't going to spend the time when they're elected.
Boy, she's like a dirty club comic, isn't she?
And that wasn't the only curse word in this 2-minute ad.
I think my biggest frustration with housing has been over and over again. When I used to talk about this, when I first ran for office, people would say, that's not a government problem. Oh,
oh my.
I don't feel like this campaign is recapturing the energy it once had.
Katie Dice Clay.
Little D.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. He is a columnist and the founder of The Recall of San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Boudin and the host of the Really San Francisco podcast. You can get him online at richiegreenberg.org and follow him on X at Greenberg Nation. Richie Greenberg, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me again today. Hope you've been well.
All right. Well, it looks like reparations are a go in the city of San Francisco. Mayor Lurie is a supporter of those reparations. I think $5 million was the last price tag I saw for anyone who is eligible to have access to. What is the latest with that, and why are they doing it?
Well, it goes way further, way beyond $5 million per eligible applicant. The African-American population here in San Francisco, over the years, they've been represented now by a reparations committee that came up with a plan, a 100-plus proposal plan, 100 points that they published the report a couple of years ago. It got shelved until just a few weeks ago. It got brought back and revived, and the 11-member Board of Supervisors here voted on starting a reparation fund, which basically means that they're looking now to open the bank account, right? The City Hall bank account to allow money to come in so they can start distributing the funds. Now, the thing that is really important about this is that much of this is being done in the shadows. So, yes, they're supposed to be recording and making available the proceedings of any of these public meetings, the hearings. And yes, they are available if you really know how to search for them. But what Mayor Lurie did in his capacity is once the legislation from the Board of Supervisors was passed there in that chamber, the mayor then either could have vetoed it and said, no, this is not appropriate. How can we go down this unconstitutional path? Or he could just not sign it at all and return it unsigned. But that would mean that it would become law without his signature within 10 days anyway. Or, which is what he did do, is he signed it himself also. But that was on right before Christmas, on the 23rd of December, and didn't follow through with his typical Instagram, Twitter. He's the Instagram mayor. He's on Twitter constantly, and he is on Instagram constantly touting all of his accolades and what's happening in San Francisco to try and drum up support. It was very curiously absent. He was quiet. He didn't say a thing. He signed it. Myself and one of my colleagues on our podcast, we actually caught it, and I put it out on Twitter, the image of his signature, and it went viral. Hundreds of thousands of views, and that got picked up by the major networks locally and nationally, that Mayor Lurie has now gone ahead and is now moving forward with the reparations.
Okay, what is the argument in favor of this? And I ask that because when you look at the history of the state of California, and I guess in this case, specifically the city and county of San Francisco, slavery was never legal here. In fact, not only was slavery never legal in the state of California, when we entered the Union back in the 1800s, we were the first state to provide a electoral majority in the country for free states versus slave states. In addition to that, we provided the margin of majority in the United States Senate of free states versus slave states. Different politicians in the state of California made up Abraham Lincoln's administration, which of course worked to end slavery in the United States. At no point was anyone enslaved in the city and county of San Francisco since California entered the Union. Why is it that the county of San Francisco should have to pay out reparations when slavery never existed there?
I'm sitting here ready to jump, ready to pounce. So what they did, what they came up with is saying this is not just for the individuals who are descendants of slaves. That's the reason. That's why they're pushing this forward. They say there are so many other egregious reasons to be handing out not just money, but healthcare, Black-centric healthcare, and a new Black curriculum, and Black business, and Black home ownership. There's so many categories, but here I'll list just a few for you. Okay, to be eligible for reparations, who's eligible to apply? First, you have to be over 18 years old now, today, and you have to identify as Black, as African American, on public documents for at least 10 years. So you have to identify, which means you can even have individuals today that are Black Latino mix. But then beyond the descendants of slavery, you need to potentially have been either personally or the descendant of someone who was incarcerated during the failed war on drugs. Or if you were a person who experienced lending discrimination between 1937 and 1968, or if you attended public schools here in San Francisco during a certain desegregation program between 1983 and 1993, then you also are eligible to apply for reparations. So this is not just about the slavery descendants. They're looking for anything that they believed had some effect on the African Americans' experience living here more recently than slavery.
Okay, what if you're Black, but you are not the descendant of slaves? Because there are people who moved here from other countries, moved here from the Caribbean, moved here from Brazil, moved here from Africa, whose descendants were never enslaved in the United States. Would someone like that be eligible for this money?
Well, yes, that's what I just said. Slavery is taken out of the picture. It doesn't matter. Slavery is not a requirement. It goes beyond that. Yeah, no requirement to be descendant of slaves at all.
And in terms of housing, there were restrictive covenants that wouldn't let Jews buy in certain neighborhoods. Are Jews eligible for this money?
Right. Jews, Chinese as well. Chinese were also very heavily excluded. Japanese also during World War II. No, this you have to identify as Black, as African American during these last 10 years, and you have to be 18 or 18 years or older today. That's who it is. Then there is a residency requirement that you have to live at least 13 years in the city between 1940 to 1996. If you moved here or you were born here between 40 and 1996. There's a whole chart, and I actually put a lot of this. I've spent countless hours researching this topic, and I put everything about the key takeaways, what the proposals are for all the different remedies, and including what the federal and state laws that this plan would be running afoul of, or flagrant violation of the Constitution, state and federal. So I have a website. It's rejecttheplan.com. So if you and listeners go to rejecttheplan.com, you will see a whole outline of the history of this plan, who's involved, what the committee wants, what federal and state laws it violates. And that's where you can get a lot of answers. It's basically a scorched earth self-segregation of the black population plan. It's similar, it's like apartheid, neo-apartheid. That's what it is.
Do you think this is a game of kabuki? And I say that because Newsom has run on reparations before in the past too. And what he does is he always punts. He always says, we need to study it more. We need to study it more. Because if they actually did what he promised them, you would bankrupt the state. So he knows he can't do that, but he doesn't want to say he's not going to do that. So they just keep studying it and keep studying it and keep studying it. So someone else down the road in the future is going to be the one that has to say no. But in this particular case, I'm not even an attorney, and I could tell you that there's going to be 1,000,001 lawsuits challenging this from all different points of view. Do you think this is one of these cases where they just want to put something on the books, knowing that it's going to be challenged in court, knowing that they're going to lose, and that way they can blame the judge and say, look, we followed through with our promises. We did what we said we were going to do. Darn the luck, we lost. Now it's time to move on.
Well, it would seem that way, even with our previous mayor, Mayor London Breed. She even said while she was still in office that she could not honor a request of $50 million by one of the supervisors here, one of the Board of Supervisors members, to begin the process of setting up a reparations office. She even said no, because that was coming into time for her reelection, and I don't think that she wanted that to harm her. She got thrown out anyway, and now Mayor Lurie, he does the opposite, and he says, we're going to go ahead and set up the bank account. So he is not looking to curry favor with anyone because was just elected a year ago. This is a very big problem because there are underhanded ways that City Hall has been able to get funding for programs that we are kept out of the loop in. And one of the provisions of this legislation that Mayor Lurie signed is that it allows private donations as well. This is not just taxpayers' money, even though, and here's another one of the factors that would make it potentially run afoul of the constitutional or other procedural laws, is that the money would still be administered by City Hall. The money comes in, goes into a certain set-aside account by the San Francisco Human Rights Commission, and then it gets dispersed to but, I don't want to make it seem like this is just going to go away, because the way that they scheme here at City Hall is they try the best way that they can to find loopholes and to try and rename things and to try and consolidate things under different departments and commissions and get money funneled through without it look like it would be reparations.
We're speaking with Richie Greenberg, who you can follow on X at Greenberg Nation. Richie, according to U-Haul, the latest data shows that California is the most left behind state in the union, with the Bay Area and LA County being hit particularly hard.
No surprise here, is it? When they released that information, that report just a couple of days ago, myself, my colleagues, we know it, we can feel it, we can see it, but it didn't make Governor Newsom not only happy, but he defended this. He said this is not exactly true. He said that California is expanding. We're having more and more people move here, and he deflected by pointing to Louisiana as being a state that is, in his mind, failing. And this is just trying to deflect away from what the reality is. And people are moving to Texas. They're moving to Florida. Top state is Texas, and the bottom states where people are moving out of, California is dead last, is number 50. Illinois, New Jersey, New York, and Massachusetts. And people are just they're moving away from these insanely led cities and states and moving to a little bit better, greener pastures.
And Newsom is fighting with people right and left over this on social media. And I don't know if he's actually living in an alternate reality where he thinks that everyone is coming to California. They can't wait to get here, and they can't wait to get out of the red states because the government's so bad in the red states. And that's the public position that he's taking. Well, what's he going to say when the state of California, for the second time in a row, loses seats in Congress because of our declining population that's reflected in the census, and states like Florida and Texas see gains in their electoral count?
Well, it's a very interesting situation here, because that was one of the reasons why we had Prop 50, right? Was to be able to ensure that California keeps every potential congressional district red, and to counter any of the blue states that might be rising. That was clearly one of the reasons, and he's exported his philosophies and the tactics to other states, and that's what they're trying to do to overcome that. But I do have another quick bit of interest here. When we put out the information and what we discovered about reparations, and it went viral, wildfire, it was only picked up by conservative media. I did a search in the last couple of days, including this morning, using AI and Google, and I find that this whole concept of reparations being signed in San Francisco by Mayor Lurie, and the progressive and mainstream media don't even cover this. It wasn't mentioned at all by CNN, by LA Times, New York Times. They're not talking about it at all, as if it's just not there. Even the local San Francisco Chronicle didn't mention the reparations signing at all. And so that's going to be another problem now with, like, the U-Haul report, or anything that looks bad that paints the leadership or Newsom or candidates for office, or these detrimental, these damning reports that are coming out every couple of days, every couple of weeks. A lot of the readers and viewers of the legacy media, they don't even know that this is happening. And so people like Newsom can make a statement that would get retweeted, reposted, quoted in mainstream media, and the readers see that, but they don't see the pushback.
You know what I think it is, and I see this in my own personal life, with the Democrats and the lefties that I know, in my friends group, family, whatever. Politics to them is just hating on Trump. That is just, it's a single issue. That is all they care about, and everything else is just background noise. It's like when you have a product that is so synonymous with a particular thing, where you just think about it in terms of the product. It's like no one says, hand me bathroom tissue. People say, hand me Kleenex. Well, Kleenex isn't the product. Kleenex is one of the companies that makes the product, but it's so synonymous with the product. When you think about bathroom tissue, you think about Kleenex. And I think for a lot of them, when they think politics, they think hating on Trump. And there's just no room for anything else for them right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I spent a couple of weeks down in Orange County, and I also was over in the great state of Louisiana myself. I was there with family, and we were in New Orleans and Lafayette, Louisiana, drove through Baton Rouge. And it's astounding to see how people's attitudes change depending on what county or what state they live in. And we saw plenty of people in the areas that are hardcore Democrats, hardcore progressives. And it's all about Trump, as you said. They look at every issue that they hear about as, how did Trump do this? How do we fight back against Trump? And anyone that is aligned with Trump, anyone that is a supporter, anyone that voted, this is the big problem that we have now, and it includes the media. And it's really, really frustrating. And all that we can do is just keep pushing our way through and doing what we can to get viral exposés and like this reparations signing and anything else. Just push it through as hard as we can. Hope that it gets picked up across the political spectrum.
All right. Richie Greenberg, columnist, founder of The Recall of District Attorney Chesa Boudin, and host of the Really San Francisco podcast. You can get him on X at Greenberg Nation. Richie Greenberg, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you. My pleasure.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And some of the Chris Matthews emails are still coming in.
Still? Well, I
Yeah.
guess people listen to the podcast a few days later.
And we're still not going to read them on the air. But we are going on the road.
We're going to be at the Pineapple Hill in Sherman Oaks a week from Friday. Save the date. Mark your calendar. Friday, January 16th from noon to 3, which means you have plenty of time to already make up your excuse for why you're not going to work that day. Or if you're in the Bay and you want to come see us live, there are cheap-ass flights on points. Get down here. But we will try to do a remote in the Bay Area ASAP. You listening, sales? Join us at the Pineapple Hill in Sherman Oaks Friday, January 16th from noon to 3. We're going to be on that beautiful patio in the back with a live broadcast of the John Phillips Show on Jimmy Buffett Friday. You know the Pineapple Hill has great food, great drinks. They even get that wonderful back bar. But it's also going to be an important show. We're not just there to have a good time. Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association will join us as the courts have made it easier to raise your taxes. We need you to come by and sign the petition to save Prop 13, which you can do ahead of time. You can do it right now. Go to saveprop13.com, print out the petition, sign it, and send it in. You could even bring it to the event or come by and you can sign it right there. We'll tell you more about your taxpayer rights and protecting Prop 13. So you know where we're going to be. That's where you're going to be. The Pineapple Hill in Sherman Oaks, Friday the 16th from noon to 3. We'll see you there.
And right now, it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
It's happened yet again.
I see. Time for the California Crime Blotter.
And the first edition brings us to Berkeley.
Berkeley has seen a whole lot of catalytic converter thefts this year, which is an interesting thing to say because this year is only 7 days old. I mean, it could be worse. Oakland has seen 5 murders in this year already.
Oh, my God.
And Barbara Lee, and I'm not making this up, just held a press conference to talk about how crime went down in 2025 after 5 people were murdered in her city in the first 6 days.
Quite frankly.
Read the temperature in the room, lady.
She's a little old for that. All right, let's go to NBC in the Bay Area to find out who is stealing all the catalytic converters.
It's an old crime gaining new traction in Berkeley, and this time
And in case you're new to the show, I know how to pronounce it. I was making fun of Hugo.
You know, let's criminalize catalytic converters. Let's criminalize copper.
It's an old crime gaining new traction in Berkeley, and this time it's getting dangerous. Police are searching for suspects who stole a catalytic converter and pulled a gun on the car's owner. NBC's Valina Jones is near the Ashby BART station.
That armed theft happened right here in the 1900 block of Essex Street. It's adding to a growing list of catalytic converter thefts that have happened in the city just this year.
And gosh, in Inglewood last year, someone was actually murdered over going after someone with a catalytic converter. That happened in downtown LA as well. This is super serious, and I feel like we don't take it seriously at all.
Well, think about it from their point of view. If you're a criminal and this crime is your business and someone's going to prevent you from conducting business and you bring a gun, my guess is you're willing to use it.
Berkeley police say it was around 2:20 Monday morning when a resident heard drilling outside their home near Essex and Tremont Streets. That noise, the sound of 2 suspects stealing a catalytic converter from a red Toyota Prius. When the owner went outside to check on the sounds, police say one of the masked thieves pointed a gun at them before taking off with the converter.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, talk about getting your attention late at night.
Neighbors say the violent theft is especially alarming.
We have heard about
Did she say especially?
I think she did.
It's forgiven.
Is especially alarming.
We have heard about theft, but we haven't heard about that kind of violence. So that's really frightening.
The thieves.
It's the perfect Berkeley response.
We have heard about theft, but we haven't heard about that kind of violence. So that's really frightening.
The thieves, described as men, got away in a gray car.
Wait, that's the description? They were men?
That's pretty weak.
That's all we got? Not how tall they are? Not what they were wearing?
Men.
Are we even sure about that?
I don't know. Did she see what was under the hood?
We have heard about theft, but we haven't heard about that kind of violence. So that's really frightening.
The thieves, described as men, got away in a gray car. Amy Fawn was hit by a catalytic converter theft about 2 years ago in the same area. That led her to install a metal shield to prevent it from happening again. She's not the only one. Her neighbor, Patricia Campbell.
Look at all the extra steps that the average person has to go through for this stupid little thing that the state of California forces you to have in your car so it doesn't get stolen because the platinum inside is worth $1,000.
Because we're not willing to put bad guys in prison. Everyone has to turn their car into the Batmobile.
Says her car's catalytic converter was stolen about a decade ago, but neither had heard of new issues until a wave of thefts popped up in the past week.
It's really disappointing that it keeps happening and that it's our responsibility to try to take care of it. Most people don't have garages to keep their cars, so I wish there was more.
And even the ones that do, the garage is so full of junk, there's no way you're fitting a car in there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, where are you supposed to keep your Christmas decorations?
I wish there was more things in place.
Thinking about keeping mine up for the whole year. It's real festive.
Mine are still up.
I wish there was more things in place so that we could feel safe parking our cars on the street.
It might be starting up again because of the economy. Who knows? I mean,
No.
These are professional thieves. This is what they do for a living.
This is not because unemployment's up or interest rates are up. This is not the economy. These are bad people. The vast majority of people do not think of stealing catalytic converters. They don't think of stealing anything.
it might be starting up again because of the economy. Who knows? I mean, because they're...
Boy, the Berkeley men on the street or women on the street are something special.
Well, you know how they vote. So they vote against Prop 36. They vote for all of this insanity that makes it so that we can't punish people for doing things like this. And then they're surprised when they're the victims of the crime.
They bring money in. So I think we just have to be a little more vigilant.
Berkeley police confirm at least 8 catalytic converter thefts have already been reported citywide in the first 6 days of the new year.
That's so embarrassing.
Berkeley's not even that big of a city.
No, it's not.
Berkeley is a population of 120,000.
And believe some cases may be connected.
You don't say. I mean, what's the likelihood? It's one jackass doing this because you know you can get away with this, or 8 different jackasses who came up with the same idea over the last 6 days?
Yeah, you don't need to be Matlock to figure this one out.
It's a regional concern, so it's not just Berkeley that's having to deal with this.
Yeah, but Oakland's already got stolen.
And you
have to fish where there's fish in the pond.
And we see it ebb and flow over time. Usually it's tied to the price of metals.
Well, yes, there is that.
Okay, that'll buy.
Because there is a lot of money to be made. Because for some reason, we have to put expensive platinum in these catalytic converters. Couldn't figure out some kind of material that's not worth smelting down and reselling. And gosh, do you remember last year? There was a story that not only can you smelt down and sell this stuff, but some people were stealing the catalytic converters, and there are components inside the catalytic converters that apparently you can light on fire and smoke.
Oh, dear.
I think it's time to get that European passport. I'm out.
Officers recommend parking in well-lit areas, using a garage when possible, engraving converters to make them harder to resell, and calling...
Yeah, that doesn't matter. You think right now that the people who are buying all these catalytic converters care if they're etched or not?
No.
And yeah, that's the whole other aspect of this, just like with copper wire. We could be easily going after the recyclers and the junkers and the smelters, except for the cases that we have heard where they're shipping these things across the states or across the country. But you can't just buy this thing and immediately you have $1,000. You got to sell it to somebody.
Well, that's what they did during COVID. They turned all the shopkeepers into their enforcement army because the shopkeepers were dependent on the government for their business licenses or liquor licenses. you can lean on these chop shops if you want to, because even though they're participating in illegal activity, they still need business licenses. If you want to shut this down, you can.
Engraving converters to make them harder to resell, and calling police immediately if you see something suspicious.
More than anything, we want everybody to stay safe.
No arrests have been made in.
Oh boy, it's Alameda County, isn't it?
Alameda County stories, like LA County stories, all involve that tagline at the end.
No arrests have been made in any of the 8 recent cases. In Berkeley, Valina Jones, NBC Bay Area News.
So there you go. Watch out, Berkeley. The catalytic converter thieves are out and about, and they've already stolen more catalytic converters than there have been days in the year.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And, of course, if you want to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And right now, it's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
It's happened yet again.
It's Wild Wild West out here.
Dun, 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 dun. It's the California Crime Blotter with John
and Randy.
And this edition takes us to the state capitol.
So Sacramento, like other major cities in California, making big pushes for you to ditch your car and take public transit. You hear about this with LA Metro. You hear about this in the Bay Area with BART and Muni. But you also hear about this in Sacramento with SacRT. Here's the problem. SacRT keeps literally getting derailed because you can't run the trains when people are stealing the copper that runs the trains.
What are you supposed to do if you take that train and you're expected to be at work on time?
You're screwed. For more, here's Fox 40 in Sacramento.
And copper and damaging Sacramento's light rail infrastructure.
Fox 40's Cedric Hood.
Just wait till we find out the value of the materials that they're going to start building that high-speed rail with, because that stuff's going to get stolen real quick.
Well, can you smoke that?
Maybe.
Joins us live with more.
You know, if you ask a drug addict, you can smoke pretty much anything.
Joins us live with more on the charges and how these crimes impact Sacramento Regional Transit. Cedric.
Yeah, hey, Nikki, Eric. 32-year-old Addison Jones now sits behind bars after deputies caught him in the act attempting to steal copper from light rail infrastructure. Now, when they found him, he had...
And do you remember early last year, you had the big strike for VTA, for that transit system. And when the strike was settled, they couldn't just turn the trains back on immediately because while the strike was going on, all the copper wire got stolen.
Oh, yes. It was an all-you-can-take copper wire buffet.
Now, when they found him, he had about 2 pounds of copper and tools he used to allegedly steal this copper. Now, SacRT tells me that this incident didn't impact services, but they did say this happens far too often, and these kinds of vandalism and thefts can cost tens of thousands of dollars.
Does anyone ever put out a report of just how much crime costs us every year?
Oh, it's got to be in the billions.
The theft happened December 24th when Sacramento County Sheriff's deputies assigned to SacRT found Addison Jones along the light rail tracks between the Sunrise and Hazel stations. Deputies say Jones was cutting copper.
Bet the parents are real proud they named that kid Edison.
Oh, yes. Well, the apple fell quite far from the tree.
Deputies say Jones was cutting copper wires from poles. These photos show the tools he used and the 2 pounds of copper he's accused of stealing. Sacramento Regional...
2 pounds, which means he probably would have made about $12.
How much meth can you get with that?
You get a teenth.
Sacramento Regional Transit says while this incident did not impact service, copper theft and vandalism has been a problem.
Unfortunately,
we like to use the term vandalism, but when you say vandalism, you assume spray painting. Vandalism is a little different than stealing the components that make the train run.
Then no one can use the train.
Unfortunately, copper theft amongst transit agencies across the nation is not new. It's definitely seeing a rise, and there's a lot we're doing to try to prevent it.
It's the one thing we didn't think about with all these pushes to go ride Metro is the fact that these systems run on copper And we don't want to arrest or put in prison the people stealing the copper. So now we just have to keep paying for it over and over and over again.
And we're also running out of alternatives because every time something goes down, the Waymos get lit on fire.
Can we stop doing that? The Waymos are going to know, and they're going to turn on us.
Last year alone, SAC-RT recorded 49 incidents with each case
49 different times just in Sacramento with SAC-RT was copper wire stolen.
Totally ridiculous.
Costing anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 and severe cases exceeding $50,000. But where is the copper?
It's in our wiring. So if you
just hold on one second, let me just type something in my computer here. How to immigrate to the European Union. I got to get out.
It's in our wiring. So if you noticed, if you go through any of our crossing arms where you see down over here, all of that takes mechanisms to move. Also switches on our tracks where the train is going from maybe one track to another track.
Are we now educating the criminals on where all the copper is on these train lines?
Well, just think about this. When they first started building these train lines and they knew it was going to require copper, it never occurred to them that society would get to the point to where that would be a desirable object to steal for drug addicts.
All of that involves electronics and different wiring.
SAC-RT has been proactive to combat the problem.
We're doing a number of things to prevent thefts like this. We're putting extra surveillance in kind of those high priority areas. We're adding extra cameras.
So what's that doing?
Nothing, because if we don't put these people in prison, who cares if you know who did it?
You know, you add to the cost of all the replacing the wire. How much are we spending on just adding more surveillance to everything?
We are replacing the copper for stainless steel, which doesn't have as much value.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Just wait until they figure out something to do with that.
And it doesn't stop there.
They're going to melt down all the stainless steel and sell it to Sur La Table and sell me some more cookware.
The agency says its bus and light rail dispatch teams work around the clock alongside law enforcement agencies, using more than 2,000 live cameras to quickly spot and respond to incidents.
SAC-RT is working closely with law enforcement and prosecutors to make sure anyone that's committing vandalism or these copper thefts are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Okay, I like hearing that. I guess Tin Ho takes this one seriously.
Okay, we're starting somewhere.
I mean, this can come down to state and even federal charges.
Now, Addison Jones is expected in court January 12th. In the meantime, SAC-RT announced just today that they are expanding their relationship with the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department, which means more safety for riders. Live in Sacramento, covering local news that matters, Cedric Hood, Fox 40 News.
So there you go. That's the latest. 49 different copper wire theft incidents just on SAC-RT.
Well, they want us out of our cars, but if you want to be somewhere on time, you're going to need one.
Let's go to Bob and El Sobrante. Bob, hello.
Yeah, thank you for taking the call. You know, my wife, she worked and she went to El Cerrito BART station here in Northern California. You know where it's at. And they stole their catalytic converter. We got pictures of the people. And you know what? They don't want to prosecute them. It's so sad. We took the pictures, sent it to the cops in Richmond PD. And, you know, I guess that, like you said, they go out and smoke it and do different things with that. But it cost me $800 to replace the catalytic converter. Thank you so much, Gavin Newscomb.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir.